Any chance I get, I will make something that is practical pretty. Hi, I'm Christine, and there's no reason that practical things can't be pretty, and that is part of the joy of sewing. Today I'm going to show you a travel set that I sewed, 3 accessories that are beginner-friendly projects, and by using fun fabric, it personalizes it and makes it pretty. I sewed all 3 of these items in an afternoon, and most of what I was using was offcuts of this fun print, and I have very little left. I've sewed all of these for myself, with the exception of one recent make. I've used them many times. These are beginner-friendly projects. They don't take a lot of time, and I think it makes a great gift. I'm going to be giving this set to my sweet daughter-in-law. Her family has a thing they call Happies. It's a gift that is just because there's no special occasion, and I think this is a great happy for my daughter-in-law, Allie. I'm going to link step-by-step tutorials for all of the projects in the description box below. And if and when I deviate from them, I'm going to tell you why I deviated, what I did, and I'm also going to give you the specific measurements that I used for my projects, because all of this can be adapted to fit your needs. The first item I'm sharing with you is a zippered shoe bag. I love a zipper shoe bag for keeping my shoes nice and neat and tidy. The zipper keeps it secure. You can make this in any size. I have one that I sewed previously that is larger, and I use this for my booties. It's got a nice deep pleat here, a deeper pleat than I used on this bag that is for Allie. So let me tell you a little bit about this. I used some quilting cotton fabric, and the rectangle that I used was 24.5 inches by 14.5 inches. You want to measure your shoes to make sure they're going to fit. This bag has roughly 2 inches of ease in it, top to bottom. You want a little ease to make it easier to get the shoes in and out. This would fit a size 11 or 12 shoe. I think very comfortable in women's size, US size. So let me open it up and show you the inside. I have a handle on it. This is handy for hanging onto a garment bag, or you get to your hotel and you want to hang it on a doorknob. Also for gripping to unzip the bag. And the other handle, I put 2 on just because I can hold it and zip it back up. So let me take the shoes out and show you the inside. I did not line this bag. Most of the tutorials I found were for a lined shoe bag. I just didn't think that was necessary. I wanted to make this a quick and easy project, and even the one I did for my own use, I didn't line it. I just want to keep the soles of my feet, the dust and dirt I pick up from my shoes, from getting on my clean clothes. Let me show you the inside of the bag. You can see, not lined, but I did bind the ends. You can tell I'm not a quilter. I just did a simple binding on the ends, and I used scraps of offcuts. I have really used this fabric well. I have a pleat in the side that is 2 inches. And as I said, I'm going to link tutorials for how to make this in the description box below. I used a number 5 zipper. I love these wider zippers. They're so much easier to sew. So if you're a beginner, please don't be afraid of zippers. They're nothing to be afraid of. The wider zipper makes them easier to sew without either getting the fabric caught in the teeth or accidentally sewing with your needle. In addition to the tutorials, I'm going to include the measurements I used, as well as the seam allowance. I used a 1/4 inch seam allowance on this, and I think with all the projects that I'm talking about today, I did use a 1/4 inch seam allowance. The second item I sewed for my daughter-in-law is what's called a fabric closet safe. And this is what it looks like. I don't know that I would trust this to be a closet safe, but I think it is a brilliant idea for pairing your accessories along with the garment. There's a welt-like zipper pocket, and how I will be using it is I will be putting bracelets, necklace, anything that I plan to wear with an outfit, a scarf, whatever it may be, inside the pocket, zip it back up, and then I would put the garment that I was wearing on top, and voila, so handy. I've been wanting to make one of these for myself for quite some time, and while I was making Allie's set, I made her one as well. I did deviate from the instructions a few times here, and let me show you how I made mine. I'm really happy with the results. I knew that I would want to sew multiples of these, so I decided I would make myself a pattern. I am using the hangers that I typically use at home and when I travel. They're very thin, they don't take up a lot of space, they're flocked so the clothing doesn't fall off of it. So this is what I'm going to use to make my template. I just have some craft paper out, and I'm going to use these seam circles. I almost got rid of these because I wasn't really using them, and thankfully they don't take up a lot of space, and they made really quick work of this. I put my hanger down, and this is a 1.5 centimeter from Generates. I have Generate seam circles in metric, and I have some in Imperial that I ordered off of Etsy. And I place my seam circle down. I've got a mechanical pencil, and I'm just going to roll the seam circle along the edge of the hanger and let it draw my line. And if the lead breaks, I just stick it back in, back up, and go over. And I'm just going to go all around the hanger this way, and then the same on this side. I found that it needs to be a thin mechanical pencil for the lead to make it through the hole. Kind of annoying how often this breaks, but since it makes quick work of this, I won't complain. So once I have the outline of my hanger, then I want to extend it down a few inches, and I just come to the edge here and draw a straight line down. And the same on this side. And this is going to be my pattern piece. This piece of paper is rather short, so on my actual pattern I used, I did extend it by 2 inches, but you can make it whatever size you want. Here's the pattern piece that I used, and you'll notice that I extended what I'm going to call the neck of the pattern piece. I wanted to have enough room to where I could fold this twice and have it be even with where the curve is, so that I could hem this and finish this off. I used my pattern piece to cut out a front and a back of my fashion fabric. This is some Moda quilting cotton, and I just think it's so fun, this little grid, and the lines aren't perfectly straight. They've got a little bit of a waviness to it. I really like this color combination. The first thing I did was on each piece separately, I hemmed this top neck opening. I wanted to have a clean finish because I did not line this. This is the first deviation from the tutorials that I watched. I didn't see the point in lining. I didn't want it to be any bulkier than it was going to be. So I figured if I hemmed this, I wouldn't need to line it. The next step was sewing the welt pocket to the front piece of the closet safe. So easy to do these pockets. If you've never done one before, I'm going to link a tutorial where I take you step by step on how to make these pockets. So incredibly easy and so handy to know how to do this. You'll be wanting to put pockets in everything. And you can see I just used a scrap of some fabric that I had. And quick, maybe 10 minutes to put the pocket into the front. Some things you want to consider. I wanted the pocket to be center. I wanted the pocket to be below the visible line, just in keeping with the idea of closet safe. I didn't want it to be showing when I buttoned a shirt or put a jacket or a dress on top of this. It's below that sight line, or for most things it will be. And I didn't want the edges of the pocket to be caught up in this side seam. All of this was sewn at a 1/4 inch seam allowance. For my pocket bag, I cut out a rectangle of some scrap fabric because I was running low on this, and there were a couple more things I wanted to make with it. I cut this Lady McElroy cotton lawn 20 inches by 14 inches, made myself the pocket bag, and then from there it was cinched to sew. I put right sides together of my front and my back, and starting about here on each side, I sewed a 1/4 inch seam allowance down both sides. I wanted to make sure that I didn't have any raw edges where this hanger would be going in and out. And that brings me to the next deviation from the tutorials. I left this open. I left it open when I made mine, and I left it open on this one. I really didn't see the point in closing the bottom. Maybe when I use it, I'll see the point. If you know, let me know. It may be just in order to finish off the lining. But what I did was I sewed a guide stitch at a 1/4 inch all the way around the bottom. Then I folded it twice, pressing, and then I just hemmed it. It's nice, it's neat. And there was also a reason behind leaving this open. These hangers that I like to use are nice and thin, but they do have a tendency to break easily, and this is a gift. So it's not going to be a great gift if it breaks and it's all enclosed in the bottom. You know, it might be thrown away, but by leaving it open, if the hanger breaks, then my daughter-in-law can take the hanger out and put a new one in. See how easy that is to get it on and off the hanger? Now you will notice as I put this in, there's not so much ease in this that it looks sloppy. I think I got the right amount of ease for the size hanger that I used and the seam allowance I used. So I'm just going to work that hook in, and boom, there we go. This is the kind of project that those of us who sew or hang out a lot on YouTube like I do, you will have seen this before, and you maybe like me have thought, you know, maybe I'll make one of these days. But I don't think my daughter-in-law has seen anything like this, so that's going to make it a little more special. So I think this will be a travel item that Allie never knew she needed. If you have some projects or ideas for sewing pretty practical things that you think I would be interested in, or the rest in the community, let us know in the comment sections below. I'm always looking for ways to be extra. This last item was inspired by my broken suitcase. I had a suitcase I used for years, and about 6 months ago, it cracked down the middle and was not usable. When I went out to replace my little carry-on suitcase, I took off this luggage spotter that is so tired looking, has a logo on it, and it was a little too big, and I knew I could do better. And this totally justified my saving the tiniest scraps of my favorite fabric. So for me, I made myself 2 luggage spotters using this rifle paper fabric, and I attached it to my suitcase on both handles just because it's so pretty. I wanted every opportunity to show off this fabric. It was so quick and easy to make, and it is a big improvement over this. Let me tell you how I made it. I measured my handles, and I knew what I had wasn't going to fit if I continued with this size, and I needed it to be a little bit longer than it was wide. After making several of these, I decided this is the size I liked. 5.5 inches long by 4.5 inches wide. And I decided Charlie needed a luggage spotter, and I wanted to show you how you could turn it into a luggage tag as well. I've got my front and my back pieces, and this time I do have a directional fabric, so I'm going to keep in mind that I have it going in the same direction. I love these cats. I want to see as much of them as possible, so I oriented them along the length of the fabric. So it's simple to construct. I have some clear vinyl, and I just cut a rectangle, sewed it to the back side. Maybe not as neat as I could have, but nobody's going to see this end, and this is going to be on Charlie's bag. He's 100% not going to care about any of these other than knowing which bag is his. So I'm going to place these right sides together. And then I'm going to place the foam on top, and I'm going to sew all around the perimeter. I'm going to leave an opening on one of the long edges so that I can pull it through. I'm going to go do that now, and I'll show you the next step. You can see I've sewn around all 4 sides. I clipped the corners, and I trimmed some of the bulk out of the seam allowance, and I did a big trim here at the opening. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to turn this right side out. I'm going here in between the fabric, not the foam side, and I'm just going to patiently work this right side out. That was much harder than I envisioned to turn it right side out. I did go around the perimeter and close it. The back doesn't look so great. You can see when I sewed this rectangle on, I didn't seat it quite evenly. Nobody's going to see that, but I'm not sure that I would finish this one off. To finish it off, all you need to do is add Velcro, and I like to use sew-in Velcro. So on the short ends, you're going to add the prickly part of the Velcro to the side that you want facing up, and then to the other short side on the back side is where you would add the fluffy part of the Velcro. And I need to rework the size of plastic that I'm using. So I don't think I'll finish this one off because I don't want to waste the Velcro on something I'm not as happy with. But that's the beauty of working with scraps. You figure these things out and decide maybe you want to go in a different direction. I'm going to revisit on another day putting the vinyl in. I think if I make it smaller and if I tape all the edges down, it won't shift all catawampus on me like this, and I can get a nice neat finish on this. That's a job for another day. My luggage spotter works perfectly, and you can tell, do you hear that rip? I'm using a heavy duty Velcro, a sew-in Velcro. I don't want to gum up my needle, and I've got the 2 short edges here. This would be the front presentation, the side I wanted showing, and I've got the prickly Velcro here, right along the edge of the short end. The other short end on the underside is where I have my nice soft Velcro. That way, when I fold it, they overlap, and it's nice and secure on my handle. That is not going to come undone. You have to really pull with some force to get it to open up. So this makes a very nice luggage spotter. If you're traveling and you are making some of these items for yourself or for someone you love, let me know in the comments section below if you make them and how you got on with them. Until next time, I will see and sew with you soon.